Hey everyone, my name's Christy. Welcome to my corner. Thank you all so much for joining me today for Flosstube number 20, which is a nice round number. In this video, I have really exciting news about my temperature library patterns that we were talking about last week. And I have some whips, and I have a finished object, and I have a fully finished object, and I have a fun haul. I have a purchased haul and then a Christmas haul. So stick around and see what there is to discover. We'll say that. But before we get to that, I want to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you all so much for joining me and for subscribing to my channel. Welcome back to everyone who's been hanging out with me the past 20 weeks, which seems really exciting to me. I don't know. I didn't think I'd ever get to 20. I don't know. I'm really excited. And I also have 300 subscribers now, so that's really exciting too. And I'm just so happy to have you all as part of my community. This is a channel about embroidery and other textile crafts and baking and the history of those things. So if any of that is interesting to you and you are not subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. So first I want to say Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. I did decorate a little bit and I reorganized a little bit, but this is not the final result because I don't like the shelving situation that I figured out for my spooled flosses, which are over there, and I just don't like it. So I need to figure something out for my spooled flosses. So that's kind of my goal in the next week, is to figure out what to do with them, because I do like how this looks. Without the tinsel, obviously, that's going to come down. But I do like how these are my silks up here, and these are my fancy cottons over here, and my DMCs and my anchors and my kind of larger batch cottons are right there. So I just need to find a place for my spools. They are not as, you can't just like hang them. I guess I could just hang them. I don't know. I'll have to figure out a system. But for now, I'm decorated for Christmas-ish. I was going to have some battery-powered lights, but you couldn't see them with like the light on. And since I actually have a ring light, as you can see right there in my glasses, you wouldn't have been able to see them at all. And they would have just looked like weird decorations. So no lights, but I have tinsel. For those of you who don't celebrate Christmas, it's going to be over soon, so you won't have to hear about it anymore, and I hope you have a wonderful Friday. I got to video chat with my family yesterday and today, so that was really nice, and we had a really good, I've had a very good couple of days, so I feel really, I'm feeling really positive about things. I think a lot of it has to do with that all my Christmas making of gifts is over now, which is so nice. I decided for some reason I was going to give all of my friends little sort of homemade gift baskets of a loaf of bread, some French macarons, and some little cookies and a little gift. And so I baked 12 loaves of bread in 3 days, 2.5 days this week, and 60 macaron. And I baked, you saw, if you watched it, you saw my baking of my kranse, my little Norwegian cookies. If you haven't seen that, you can see it right there. You can go check out that video. So speaking of the kranse, which are these Norwegian butter cookies that I made in my historical baking video on Tuesday, which had like no history in it, I had mentioned that there were two different kinds of cookies. One of them was kranse, which had sour cream, which is what I made and which is what I kind of remembered. And one was Berliner kranse, which is what we always called them. But those don't have sour cream. They have hard-boiled egg yolks in them, which I also remembered. Okay, I remember these two different kinds of cookies. And my mom in the comments to that video mentioned that she didn't remember the sour cream version, just the hard-boiled egg version. And so I'm wondering if maybe at some point between the ages of like 8 and 11, right, which is kind of like a formative time, I think, when you really, when things kind of solidify in your brain. I wonder if my grandmother just decided to try the other recipe just for fun and see if she liked it. And then that in my mind stuck with me as kind of how it works. And the reason I bring this up now is because, it just happened this week, but also it made me think of a little factoid about Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol that I kind of wanted to share. So this is my history part. If you want to skip to the stitching, feel free. I'll put the timestamp where stitching talk starts right here, and you can skip to that. But Charles Dickens, if you notice, his winter stories, like A Christmas Carol, he has other stories that take place in the winter. They always are very cold, very wintry, very snowy. So Charles Dickens is from Southern England, and Southern England doesn't get a lot of snow. The question then is, why are all his like winter stories so cold, so snowy, Thames freezing over, that kind of a thing, when it just doesn't happen very much? And it didn't happen very much in his lifetime, but it happened a lot in the first 10 years of his life. Something like 8 years out of the first 10 years of his life, it snowed in the winter heavily. And so this stuck with him and made him, in his stories, think about winter as a snowy time. And that made me think about the history of climate. And I think I've talked about climate before when I was talking about the Black Death back in October or a couple months ago. But basically, there are, the climate is always kind of changing, right? We had the Ice Age 10,000 years ago, and then there were warmer periods, right? But we also have smaller climate changes that happen, and these are not connected to the current man-made extreme climate change. These are much more mild climate changes. But what you find is that in the Middle Ages, from about 1000 to about 1350, maybe 1325, you have a very warm period. It's called the medieval warm period in North America and Europe. And this wasn't the case everywhere, but in those two places, this was the case. Around that time, at the beginning of that time, is when the Vikings settle in Greenland. They made contact with Native Americans. They have a kind of trading post, hunting post off of Nova Scotia and Canada. It's called L'Anse aux Meadows, I think. I'll put a link to the site. It's an archaeological site now. But that all happened during the beginning of this warm period. And what you also see during this warm period is an expansion of cities and people, an expansion of population and really good crops and blah, blah, blah. So that's what happens in the medieval warm period. But then around 1325 to 1350, you get a severe drop in temperature. And so I'll put a little kind of climate map right here, and you can see the medieval warm period, it goes up, and then at around 1350, the temperature goes down. And that line in the middle is the average temperature for the 20th century. So in the medieval warm period, it's much warmer. And then after 1350, you get something called the Little Ice Age. And if you look at when that ends, it ends in 1850, right? When it warms up again. So at the beginning of Charles Dickens' life, he was born in 1812, I think, around then. It was still in the midst of this Little Ice Age. It was coming to a close, but it's still cold. But he died in 1870, and so it's much warmer. So at the very beginning of his life, he has these memories of snow and cold and the Thames freezing over. But then that just didn't happen again because it warmed up. And I find that very interesting. And my Kranza recipe reminded me of that it must, because I distinctly remember sour cream, and there happens to be a sour cream Kranza recipe. So I wasn't misremembering that we had ever made them. But I think what I'm misremembering is that was an important part of our baking history, right? So to me, that baking occurred during our formative years, but it was an aberration. And what we actually normally did was this other thing, but that didn't stick with me until I had sort of read more into it. And then the hard-boiled eggs kind of triggered something in my mind. But before that, I hadn't even thought about hard-boiled eggs. And anyway, something similar for Charles Dickens. And so that's why the Christmas Carol is so snowy and so cold, because he had this formative memory of really, really cold winters when he was a kid. Anyway, so there's your little history lesson of the day. But that is not why you came here. So those of you who skipped ahead, welcome back. I think I'm going to start with some finished objects. And I have a couple FFOs. I have some finished objects, and I have a finished object. So I will talk about those right now. My two FFOs are the gifts that I gave to my fiance in his advent box that I had forgotten to take pictures of. So I gave him two bookmarks, This one has a D20 on it, and it's a leather bookmark. There we go. So I embroidered a little D20, backed it in linen, and I'm really pleased with this. This is some of that leather that my friend sent me a month ago maybe. She sent it to me. And the second one is a magnetic bookmark that I embroidered with my little manicule. So I finished that. So it's a manicule on linen with 2 magnets and cork on the inside, and it just sticks to that. So I'm going to do a tutorial for these this week, and I'll post that for Tuesday so you can see that. And yeah, those are my fully finished objects, and I'm really pleased with them, and he was really pleased with them. So all around, it's a good thing. My second finished object is a little guy from the Bayou Tapestry. I'm calling him the happiest little archer. Look how happy he is. He's actually much more smiley in the real thing. And this is done on a cotton linen blend from Fat Quarter Shop this is the natural, I would say. Done in DMCs. Yeah, I really like him. I was going to turn him into a brooch, actually, because he's so adorable and small. But I sketched him on with a friction pen, which means that if it gets cold, like really cold, it will come back. And there was some kind of sketching outside of where I stitched, and I want to not, I don't want it to come back. So I think this is just going to be mounted in a hoop. I'm going to use a 3-inch hoop for this. I'm going to stain it dark brown, and then he will go in that, and I'll take some pictures of that because I think I'm going to offer him as a little pattern. We'll talk about that later on. And I think those are my only finished objects. I do have a whip, which is my Scandinavian Deer, and this is what it is going to look like. I'm almost finished with it. I got this from woolery.com, and this is what it looks like. So all I have left is this side over here. I have a little bit more of that tree to do on the bottom down here, these kind of leaves, and then I need to fill all this in with the red, and this will be done. And this is going to be turned into a pillowcase that is going to go on a pillow over there. And I had planned on this just being a Christmas decoration, but it doesn't have to. I mean, it's not inherently Christmas. So I think I'm just going to keep it up the whole time because I am in no way attached to that pillow. So the felted deer is going to, I think, be out all year long. That is all I've been working on this week. I may have done a little on Hildegard, but I don't remember, and I don't have her with me, and it wasn't enough to even probably show you. So I don't think that I'm going to pause this and go get her. I'll show her to you next week, and there will hopefully be more done. And the reason why I don't have more done is 12 loaves of bread, like tons of baking, but also because almost all of my crafting time has been taken up by organizing and charting this temperature bookcase. So I finished it in time for a Christmas launch. It is available in a cross-stitch pattern and a freehand embroidery pattern, and they look slightly different, but they're similar, on my brand new Etsy shop. They are the only things on my brand new Etsy shop because I hadn't planned on opening that just yet. But everyone was so encouraging about charting this and the design that I just got really excited and I just did it. And that really took up all of my stitching time. So this is what the cross-stitch chart will look like. And then this is what the freehand embroidery chart will look like. So you have, you can choose one or the other. I'll put a link to my Etsy shop down below. It's Christy's Corner Needle, and it's called Christy's Corner Needleworks is what it's called, but I didn't have enough characters. And someone had already taken Christy's Corner, but there's no store called Christy's Corner, but I couldn't have it. So, oh well. So if this is something that you're interested in, please head over there and grab it. It took on a surprising amount of work. I mean, I probably spent, and this is after I had spent hours designing it and sketching it out just for me and my mom, but it probably took a good 30 hours to chart it after I had already designed it. Major props like to those cross stitch designers. Like I look at those long dog samplers with a lot of respect and awe in a way that I hadn't before. I'm charging $9 for the pattern, which seemed reasonable to me. It was comparable to what other people are charging for patterns like this. And if you're excited about stitching this and you see Tanya Romero in the comments down below, thank her because it was her idea. And she helped me tremendously in this process. So thank you so much, Tanya, because as you all know, I am not a cross stitcher. And so she was willing to take a look at this design and tell me things that could be better, tell me what she would expect in a pattern like this. And she even stitched up a little bit of it. So I'm going to put that picture here. She sent me pictures. So if you see Tanya down below, thank her because this is all her doing. It wouldn't have happened without her at all. I also am planning on probably at the end of January and into February, charting up and sketching out what I'm calling the Knickknack expansion pack, which is going to basically be tiny little knickknacks that you can put on the shelves where like the globe is, where the ship is, that kind of thing. So you can make it your own and make it how you want it. And the eagle-eyed among you will notice that where that ship used to be was a like bowl of circles. I keep calling it the bowl of meatballs. I got rid of that and I replaced it with a Viking ship because medievalist, right? And then I changed a couple other things. And I changed the flower vase a bit from my original sketch. You know, once other people were going to try and do this, I wanted it, you know, I put more time into making it than if it was just me and my mom. Because if it was me and my mom, I could just resketch things and send them over to her. But if people are actually going to be spending like actual money on this, then I want to make sure it's something that people would want. Anyway, so if that is something you're interested in, head over to my Etsy shop, I guess, and snag it. It's a instant download, and so you just get the PDF, and it has all the information is in there. But if there is something that's missing that you expect to see in a chart like that, please tell me because, like I said, I am not a cross stitcher. I did my best, but if there's something that's missing, please let me know and I will edit it and I will kind of re-upload that because I want to make sure that that it's usable, right? And enjoyable for people to stitch. Same with the freehand chart. I included suggestions for stitches, directions for stitches. I included color options and the temperatures. I have 20 different temperature colors that you can use. And yeah, so check it out if you're interested. And if you're not interested, like no obligation, obviously. Like I just did this because it ended up being really fun. I gotta be honest with you. It was fun charting it, which is one of the reasons why I spent so much time on it. If you're interested in that, it is now available. And like I said, I will be planning a Knickknack expansion pack. And that is, I think, going to be the name because how could I not call it the Knickknack expansion pack? And then, I mean, I'm planning on doing a 2022 version, you know, so people can have like a library as opposed to just a bookcase. So that's that big news. And now on to haul and stitchy gifty things, right? I have my advent calendar and they're all still in the box, but aren't they beautiful? Look at those colors. I love this Deer advent calendar. It's just really, really fun. So these are this is the silk and cotton option. And once I figure out what to do with my spools, I'm really looking forward to playing around with these. But that is my my stitchy advent calendar that I have been working through this whole month, which has been really, really fun. And I'm really looking forward to playing around with those colors, I have to be honest with you. I also have, I finally got almost all of my order from Woolery.com that I placed. I think I placed it November 21st. I think that's when I placed it. And there was a problem with that they didn't have the yarn in stock. And then it still never shipped, and then they didn't have something else in stock, and then it never shipped. And so then I just called them and said, just ship what you have and then ship the rest later, because I really want this yarn. And so then it took a week to ship. So anyway, once they shipped it, it got to me actually really quickly, because I think it's just coming from Kentucky, which isn't that far from where I am. But I'm really excited because of this yarn. This is the Mora yarn by Borgs. And this is really fine. I don't even know if you can see. This is about the size of 2 strands of DMC, which is perfect for embroidery. So I'm going to have a lot of fun dyeing this, playing around with different dyes, and using it for Bayou Tapestry reproduction. So that is what this yarn is for. I also think I'm going to buy some that is dyed, like conventionally dyed in the colors that I want, because it's going to take longer for me to perfect the natural dyeing than I had anticipated. And I haven't even tried it again. So I need to that's another thing I want to do this week is, which goes into plans, but another thing I want to do this week is start dyeing again. And now I have 4 skeins of this. I have 2 other skeins of wool that I can play around with, and I'm very excited. And I think one of the things I'm going to do is dye it in 10-gram mini skeins of yarn, which are actually quite large skeins for embroidery. And that will allow me to actually measure things out in a way that I couldn't when I was doing the tiny, tiny little 1-gram skeins. Because how do you measure proportions with 1-gram skeins? I don't think that my kitchen scale goes below a gram. Like, it does like parts of a gram. So I got this. That's very exciting. I got this adorable 3D felted turkey kit that I'll save for next Thanksgiving. It's a turkey ornament. This got me free shipping, I think is why I added this on. And finally, I got a card weaving kit. Card weaving is a very old kind of weaving that was done in the Middle Ages, and it makes straps and decorative borders and stuff like that. So I got a DVD of how to do it. I got cards, 25 cards. They're just squares with holes in the corners. I got a shuttle, and I have 2 colors of warp thread, and the only thing I'm missing is the red warp thread. And then I can do really fun kind of 3-toned weaving designs. So that is something else that I think is really, really fun. And I think that's all I have for purchased haul. But then I just want to show you what my fiance got me for Christmas, which was so incredibly thoughtful. And it's pretty clear that he thought really hard about what I would like and what would be useful, and not just like stuff. So he got me 2 books. The first book is the Royal School of Needlework Embroidery Techniques book. I'm excited. So this talks about the techniques that you learn at the Royal School of Needlework in England. And one of my dreams is to get certified by the Royal School of Needlework. It talks about crewel work, black work. It gives you practice assignments, black work faces, right? I mean, this is amazing. So I'm really, really excited about this. I can't obviously take the classes right now. First of all, they're expensive and I just don't have the money for that. But second of all, I have a job, right? And I can't leave that job to go and do these courses. But I can at least learn a little bit, so that'll be exciting. The second book he got me, also Royal School of Needlework, is the Book of Embroidery. This is the big guy. Look how thick that is. This one has, well, first of all, I don't know if you can tell. It's blown out, unfortunately. There we go. You can tell a little bit. The colors are, the pages are color coded. each of these page colors is a different type of embroidery. And so we have crewel work again, with talks about tools and materials and fabrics. We have tapestry work with all of the different stitches. We have silk shading, a whole section on silk shading. And I just want to show you, like, with patterns that you can practice with and techniques and how to start. There's gold work and couching and, I don't know, 3D work. It's just like, I'm not saying that I'm going to do all of these pieces in here, but what the book will do is it will give me the techniques so that maybe I don't want to make an owl, maybe I want to make a fox, right? Or maybe I want to make a 3D landscape that will give me the techniques to do that. So yeah, that's amazing. And it's just such a thoughtful, exciting gift. And it's a way, you know, one of the things that I'm sure you all have realized, those of you who've been with me for the past 20 weeks, is that, like, I have lots of ideas and they don't always work and I don't always stick with them. But kind of like cross stitchers have, you know, 50 whips, right? 50 works in progress that are kitted up and ready to go. I have like 50 different projects and techniques and things that I want to do that it may take me a while to get to, but eventually I really want to do them. And so I'm kind of exploring all these different options right now. I haven't been stitching for very long. And so having the opportunity to explore all these different techniques and ideas and being creative just builds kind of more creativity. And so having books like this gives me the techniques to imagine the things that I want to do and how I can do them and improve the way that I'm doing them. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this. And I don't know that I'll do anything with them this week or in the next 2 weeks. I have a lot of stuff happening right now, but I don't know. It's very exciting. It's a lot of possibilities. There are lots of possibilities. And it's a long, long life out there, hopefully. And yeah, possibilities. So I think that is it for my haul and my new fun books. I want to talk about plans. Monday is my birthday. I'm going to be 41 and I'm hosting a birthday stitch along, the History Birthday SAL. Basically, the way this works is that you choose something to stitch on that is vaguely history themed. It can be like really historical, or it can just be like history adjacent, or it can feel historical. Basically, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So when you're stitching on this historical thing, take a picture of it and post on Instagram using the hashtag HistoryBirthdaySAL and tag me, Dr._Christy. I'll put that right here along with the hashtag. And essentially it will be like you're celebrating my birthday with me, since I can't celebrate it. You know, I can't have a party. We can't go out to dinner. We can't have friends over, anything like that. So I would love to have you all celebrate my birthday with me if you are willing to do so with a birthday stitch along. And I think that is everything. So check out if you're interested in my temperature charts, they're on Etsy. I'll put that link down below. If you want to celebrate my birthday with me, the hashtag is HistoryBirthdaySAL. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about climate, the history of climate, earlier in the video. And I'm really looking forward to new adventures in 2021. I'm hopeful and excited. I think that it'll be good and it'll be creative and inventive. I think it'll be good. I'm going to go now and do some stitching and edit and upload this video, and I will talk to you again. Oh, I may do a little quick video on Monday for my birthday. Just to say hello, but I may not. I don't know. We'll see, just as a little extra. I will see you on Tuesday for I'm hoping it's going to be a bookmark tutorial. And then it's like home stretch to the new year. My next Flosstube will be in 2021. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, just hanging out with me on this Christmas day. And with all that being said, please take good care of yourselves and have a good one. Bye.